So good morning everyone. As usual, we are here for the morning chanting to show our respect to the Buddha. And we have Simone, Pen, Nelly, Karen, Colin from different parts online attending. Similarly, we have Gavin here as usual. So Gavin is a training to be a monk in a few months' time. In 2 months' time, Gavin is going to be a monk. So he's training, and his dedication is admirable. But once become a monk, then will be very different. He will be staying in the temple most of the time, has to stay, and some formal habits have to give up, especially going for suntan.
No.
And also mindful of speech, mindful of actions. These things we have to adjust, and gradually will adjust for sure. As a monk, we are in a very vulnerable place. One way, once you become a monk, highly respected, but in the same time, because of the public life that we have, our privacy been no more, and whatever we do becomes so visible, and people make comments and cause troubles, which is very common. And further on, living in a community with not only different monks but also with the different people, each individual's understanding, way of thinking, way of desire or wanting, way of working, all are different. So we have to deal with this chaotic, unbalanced behaviors of all, keeping calmness in that chaotic environment. We ourselves have a different understanding, different way of working, different way of living, and yet we have to adjust with this multi-dimensional lifestyle of multi-ethnic groups. If you are a family member, you don't need to worry much. You just worry about your wife, you just worry about your children at most. But the rest, you can shut the door for good. You don't have to worry about them at all, or you don't have to communicate with them in any means. There are stories that even the siblings cut off. Simply, they didn't want to engage with each other, which is completely different. Once we become a monk, we have to spread our heart like a doormat. everybody will clean, everybody will step on, and everybody will spit on like that. And yet, we have to spread the kindness, a heart of a kindness and a compassion towards them, towards all other beings as well. And sometimes it's not fair for the monks. You cannot close the door for people that you dislike. You cannot close the door for those who really annoys us. And we cannot even say that you should not come to the temple despite how hard you dislike them, despite how hard resentment you have, whether the resentment came from the past or a now or a recent past. Further on, people may do something very silly and cause lots of trouble to yourself, and yet you have to smile and welcome them if they come to visit the temple. That's why it's not an easy thing. You cannot shut the door, you cannot chase them out, and you cannot deny their arrival. It's a very tough one. So in these tough moments, we have to be very mindful of our emotions, our feelings, and how we speak with them. A slightest speaking mistake, the slightest performing physical unwanted gestures can cause a lot of trouble. As we know, gossip travels like a wildfire. Even just one word, then it goes so far and wide and cause a really difficult problem. So that's why it's very important to be mindful. The Buddha was even harder on the Buddhist monks and the nuns and how one should be practicing. The Buddha said that should you have any anger towards someone, even the slightest anger, then you are not my son. You haven't understood the teachings yet. Very harsh. In Christianity, in the Old Testament says that if someone hits you, you hit them back, eye to eye, tooth to tooth, which is completely different. And then in a New Testament, and says that if he hits you one cheek, give him another cheek to let him hit. That's how the New Testament speaks about. Whereas here in the Buddha's teaching, you should not have even the slightest anger towards someone who is angry. You should not have a resentment towards someone who is a resentment, even the slightest bit. And that much harsh instruction that the Buddha gave to monks. And having said that, doesn't mean that every monk will follow that. There are many fights, there are many quarrels as well, but ultimately the instruction is like that. And if we can practice in accordance with that, then but better. And a monk's life also judged by their character, their speech, their behavior. People will come and visit us. People may come and give us a dana to begin with, and they are always checking what our behaviors are, how we react, What sort of a mindset do we have? Now, until they feel confidence, only then they feel worthy of respect and worthy of a giving, worthy of a veneration. Otherwise, one time come and then disappear for good, or not only disappearance, but also causing a trouble. And there will be a gossip going around that this monk is that, this monk is that. How dare, he's a monk, he's still doing this and this and this and this. And it goes on and on and on. And by the time when you realize that the whole mountain been covered by the fire, and sometimes you don't know. So that often happens. So it's very fragile, vulnerable state in the midst of so much respect and so much veneration you receive. So sometimes these venerations are just like a bridge to destroy you, which is the reason why Buddha said again and again, or instructed the monks, that don't attach to the fame, don't attach to the name, don't attach to the gain, don't attach to the any family members. And which is another reason why the Buddha encouraged monks not to associate with the family members more, or visiting the families quite often. Otherwise, there will be a ground for the gossips, or a ground for the other stories to build up. But being a monk, in a superficial level, when we look at it as a simple and it's a happy life, but once we become a monk, we are a public property. There could be happening everything. So in those midst of the things, we have to maintain our mind in balance. Like there is a story when the Rahula, who was the son of the Buddha, he became a monk. And then one day he saw that Buddha was walking. So then the Buddha, he went up to ask some instructions from the Buddha. So then he got the instruction starting from practice of a loving kindness. And further on, the practice of a loving kindness, the Buddha uses simile that the earth, the Mother Earth, receives so much garbage, so much rubbish. People will spit, people will defecate, people will urinate, people throw things away, but the Mother Earth never complains. It simply takes things, can be digested, and others simply leave it for a long time to digest, but never complains. Similarly, the simile of a water. People throw things in a water, but it never complains. Similarly, in the wind and in a fire, never complains. It simply does whatever it can to maintain the nature, maintain the harmony. And similar way, as a monk, once we become a monk, we have to work like that. There is no difference. There is no favoritism. There is no a biasness. Try not to have a biasness as much as possible. And despite of that attempts, quite often people think that we are a bias from their perspectives, and which is normally happens quite often, particularly if we are having a ceremonies, then this happens quite a lot. So this is a very important practices that we have to be very mindful. The Buddha further instructed, there was one monk who was about to go to teach in his village. And this village used to be a very harsh and very troublemakers. And this monk went up to the Buddha and asked permission to go to that city, that village. It's called Sunaparanta. And then the Buddha said to this monk that, oh, the Sunaparanta is very rough village, and they do not have any Dhamma. What would you do if they hit you? So if they shout at you angrily or abuse you, then this monk told the Buddha that that's very kind of them. That's very kind of them that they use abusive words, but they haven't hit me. And then the Buddha further said, what if they hit you? Oh, they are very kind, they don't kill me. And then Buddha further asked, what if they kill you? And then this monk said, oh, they are very kind, so that I don't have to suffer anymore. Then having heard that, then the Buddha said that, okay, you are ready to go to that Sunaparanta country and teach the Dhamma. This is a story I often relate to my own life here in Aberdeen. When I moved to Aberdeen in 2011, when we established the Thai temple here, I came across with so many examples of like that. Beer can thrown at me, honking, and even told go back home, like that. But whenever I heard these, whenever I come across with these harassments, I didn't blame them, but rather I told to myself that I have to make it visible to them and make sure that they understand who am I. I always have this mindset that they don't understand me yet, they don't know me yet. I have to make them know who am I. What am I doing here? So with that in mind, every summer I used to wear a robe and walk around in the city just to make them visible. And in the meantime, I started cooking for homeless people. Every 2 months, cooking for 50 people, and then another 50 loaf of breads or supplies. Went and giving to these homeless people, not only homeless, but low-income people as well, those who are registered. And then that time I realized that there are, in Aberdeen, there are people who are living in a very difficult, destitute state. There were about 3,000 people registered to receive the food at that time. In a year, then there will be quite a lot. So with that cooking and giving this food to the homeless and the needy ones, after a couple of times, I remember when I was walking through the Union Street, one of this gentlemen came up to me and said, thank you for your help. I didn't know him, but he recognized me while I was giving food, and I asked him, how do you know me? And he said that I met you at that center so he came and collect the food. That was the start. And then later on, I used to sit with those homeless people around the street and talk to them. And every time when I walk, if I see them, I used to give them money and then sit down and talk. So with that, I developed the relationship with them, and then gradually somehow managed to get the space to teach meditation in the council, and then later this health village. And now I remember those times, and now when we go around, pretty much many people understand. I remember one time in 2011, I was walking through the Union Street. A mother dragged her 2 children from walking in front of me, saying that, "Be careful." I was treated like an alien. I was treated like someone untouchable, a disgusting thing. But now that has changed. Children come to see me. Children happy to see a monk or a monks. And schools also invited monks to visit and so on. So that's why monk's life is very different, very difficult, and very, very fragile, and yet very venerated too. So the veneration is basically based on our behavior and our practice and our kindness and compassion. And that's how we are supported, and that's why it is also a part of our practice too. Otherwise, we could have said, "I don't like you, don't come. I don't want you, I will shut the door." Not like our members or lay members. They can say that, "I don't like this monk, so I'm not coming to the temple. I don't like this person, so I don't like to come and help your event," so on. And this is simply because their faith hasn't been confirmed yet or convinced yet, and they are simply working in a favor of this or a favor of that, and they are all working to gain the merits. And with that in mind, if they feel dissatisfied, or if they feel not welcomed or not feel part of it, then they simply say that I'm not coming to this temple, or I'm not coming to attend this event, and so on. There are quite a few members I know that I was told that because of that person is coming to the temple, I'm not coming on that day. Because of he or she is coming to event, so I'm not coming to the event, and so on. They can do that, but as a monk, we cannot. We have to spread the kindness and compassion like a doormat. They can use it to clean their feet. They can use but as a monk, we just need to spread the kindness. So we're having this 17th of May event. I believe that our members will not be like that and do not come to help. I hope that our members will come and help and use their faith and wisdom rather than their feelings and emotions, and blocking their own chance to make a merit and their own chance to do good thing we can reach the success. So this is my reflection for today. Now let's do the chanting.